All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into some pretty cool tech stuff. We got articles, reviews, funding news, you name it. The really interesting thing is how all of it kind of connects back to how we work and live.
Yeah, it's a real mix, right? We've got AI, some powerful hardware stuff, even AI being used in inventory management. It's a lot to unpack, but I think our listeners will really get something out of this.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with this Amazon AI thing. You sent me an article about their new model, Nova. It's launching in June, and it uses something they're calling hybrid reasoning.
Mm.
Now, I'm no AI expert, so break this down for me. What is that? And why does it seem like Amazon's so focused on cost efficiency with this compared to, say, Google or Microsoft?
Right. Well, hybrid reasoning is kind of like it's like how our brains work. We use logic, we use intuition, we analyze data, but we also get creative. It seems like with Nova, Amazon's trying to get AI to do the same thing, mix different approaches to solve problems.
Hmm, that's interesting. So it's not just cold, hard logic. It's got some, like, flexibility built in.
Exactly. And, the cost efficiency thing is huge because right now, a lot of powerful AI is expensive. So if Amazon can make it affordable, that opens it up to so many more people, smaller businesses, developers, people who couldn't use it before. That's a game changer, right?
That's a really good point. It could really democratize AI in a way we haven't seen before.
Right.
Okay, so speaking of power, let's jump to this NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070 graphics card review. You had flagged this one, and I know you work with a lot of high-resolution images and video.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, any creative professional who works with visuals wants that 1440p resolution this card offers. It just makes everything so crisp and detailed. It's amazing.
But the review also mentioned some things like limited RAM and high power consumption, right?
Yeah, so there are definitely trade-offs. The RAM thing is important because it's like short-term memory for the card. If you're working with really huge files, you could hit some limits. And the power consumption, well, that's something to keep in mind if you're environmentally conscious or just worried about your electricity bill.
I guess that makes sense. So, amazing performance, but you have to factor those things in.
Oh, and the review also mentioned possible availability issues.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. These new cards are going to be in high demand, and with the global chip shortage still going on, well, it might be tough to actually get your hands on one.
Yeah, that's something we've seen with a lot of tech lately. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. You had this article about a company called Swap that just got a bunch of funding. What's interesting is they're using AI for something most people wouldn't even think of, inventory management.
Yeah, it's not the most glamorous thing, but it's so important for e-commerce. If you're selling online, you got to make sure you have the right products at the right time and not end up with a bunch of stuff you can't sell. That's where Swap comes in. They use AI to predict demand, automate orders, basically take the guesswork out of inventory.
And it must be working because they just got $40 million in Series B funding. 40 million. That's insane. But it shows that investors are really seeing the potential here. And, Swap's expanding internationally, which makes sense with the global growth of e-commerce.
All connected, right?
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk Apple. You always send me the latest Apple news. What's the deal with these new iPads, the 11th gen iPad and the updated iPad Air?
Right. So the 11th gen iPad has the new A16 Bionic chip, which makes it super fast and responsive. And they've increased the storage too, which is great. Seems like they're targeting that one at the everyday user who wants a solid tablet for, browsing, streaming, stuff like that.
And the iPad Air, that one's got the M3 chip, right? That's seriously powerful stuff.
Oh, yeah. The M3 chip is what you'd normally find in a high-end laptop, so it's crazy powerful for a tablet. It's like Apple's trying to blur the lines between tablets and laptops, which is interesting, especially with that new Magic Keyboard for the Air. It's a pretty sweet setup for creatives, students, anyone who needs portability and power.
So overall, it seems like we're seeing this trend of powerful technology becoming more and more accessible. AI is getting cheaper, hardware is getting better, and companies like Swap are finding really cool ways to use AI to solve real problems. It's exciting stuff.
It really is. And the takeaway for our listeners, I think, is to consider how all this might impact them personally or professionally. Maybe there's a way to use AI to make your work easier, or a new graphics card that could take your creative projects to the next level. There are tons of possibilities. You just have to be open to them.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
My pleasure. Until next time.